Hi guys. Okay, so I'm like really pleased to announce that we are on our chapter 30. And the book is this much complete. We have read this much and this much is left. So it's still almost like it's less than half actually. See, we have covered more than half and now only like less than half is left. I'm really excited to just like get through it and finish it like finally after like 2 years of going through this book like bit by bit. Let's just finish it. Yeah, sting. Okay. Chapter 30. Holly arrived at the restaurant at 8:20. So previous chapter we saw again through Holly's miserable life because she does not know what she's doing now. She always had lived for Jerry, and she was also trying to find this leprechaun, secret leprechaun, who was doing her garden because he or she like they landscaped her like back garden completely and transformed it. So now let's get through it. Let's see. Holly actually got invited by Denise to this outing where all of her friends are going, and Holly was like really mad and feeling like really petty because she is like running low on money as well now. Like so, it's just come on survival. She does not know how she's gonna go through, get through this phase, and yeah. So Polly arrived at the restaurant at 8:20 as she had spent hours trying on different outfits and ripping them off again. Eventually, she settled with the outfit that she had been instructed to wear by Jerry for the karaoke, just so she could feel closer to him. She hadn't been coping very well over the past few weeks. She had had more downs than ups and was finding it harder to pick herself back up again. As she was walking towards the table in the restaurant, her heart sank. Couples are us. She paused halfway and quickly sidestepped, hiding behind the wall. She wasn't sure she could go through with this. She hadn't the strength to keep battling her emotions. She looked around to find the easiest escape route. She certainly couldn't leave the way she had come in, or they would definitely see her. She spotted the fire escape beside the kitchen door, which had been left open to clear some of the steam. The moment she stepped out into the cool air, she felt free again. She walked across the car park, trying to formulate an excuse to tell Denise and Sharon, "Hi, Holly." She froze and slowly turned round, realizing she had been caught. She spotted Daniel leaning against his car, smoking a cigarette. "Here, Daniel." She walked towards him. "I didn't know you smoke." "Only when I'm stressed." "You're stressed?" They greeted each other with a hug. I was trying to figure out whether to join Happy Couples United in there. He nodded towards the restaurant. Oh, she found a partner. No. Hoodie smiled. "You too?" He laughed. "Well, I won't tell them I saw you, if that's what you want." "So you're going in?" "Have to face the music sometime," he said, grimly stabbing out his cigarette with his foot. Holy thought about what he said. "I suppose you're right. You don't have to go in if you don't want to. I don't want to be the cause of you having a miserable night. On the contrary, it would be nice to have another loner in the company. There are so very few of our kind in existence." Daniel laughed and held out his arm. "Shall we?" Holy linked his arm and slowly made their way into the restaurant. It was comforting to know she wasn't alone in feeling alone. "By the way, I'm getting out of here as soon as we finish the main course," he smiled. "Traitor." She thumped him on the arm. "Well, I have to leave early anyway to catch the last bus home." She hadn't had the money to fill the tank in the car for the past few days. "Then we have the perfect excuse. I'll say we have to leave early because I'm driving you home, and you have to be home by what time? 11:30. At 12, she planned on opening the September envelope. Oh, finally. This, like, she can't figure her life out without him. That's pathetic, but okay. Perfect, he smiled, and they made their way into the restaurant, feeling slightly reinforced by each other's company. "Here they are," Denise announced as they made their way to the table. Holly sat down beside Daniel, sticking to her alibi like glue. "Sorry we are late," she apologized. "Holly, this is Catherine and Mike, Peter and Sue, Joanne and Connell, Tina and Brian, John and Sharon, Jeffrey and Samantha. And last but not the least, this is Des and Simon. Holly smiled and nodded at all of them. Hi, we are Daniel and Holly. Daniel said smartly, and Holly giggled beside him. He had to order because, if you don't mind, we had to order already, if you don't mind, Denise explained, but we just loads of different dishes so we can all share them. Is that okay? Holly and Daniel nodded. The woman beside Holly, whose name she couldn't remember, turned to her and spoke loudly. So, Holly, what do you do? Daniel raised his eyebrow at Holly. Sorry, what do I do when? Holly answered so seriously. She hated nosy people and conversations that revolved around what people did for a living, especially when she had just met those people less than a minute ago. She felt Daniel shaking with laughter beside her. What do you do for a living? The woman asked again. Polly had intended on giving her a funny but slightly rude answer, but stopped herself as all the conversations around the table died down and everyone's attention was focused on her. She looked round with embarrassment and cleared her throat nervously. Well, I'm currently between jobs right now. Her voice shook, the woman's lips began to twitch, and she scraped a piece of bread from between her teeth rudely. What is that you do? Daniel asked her loudly, breaking the silence. Oh, Jeffrey runs his own business, she said, proudly turning to her husband. Oh, right, but what is it that you do? Daniel repeated to her. The lady seemed flushed that her answer hadn't been good enough for him. Well, I keep myself busy all day, every day, doing various things, honey. Why don't you tell them about the company? She turned to her husband again to divert the attention from herself. Her husband leaned forward in his seat. It's just a small business. He took a bite out of his bread roll, chewed it slowly, and everyone waited while he swallowed so he could continue. Small but successful, his wife added for him. Jeffrey finally finished eating his bread. We make car windshields and sell them to the warehouses. Wow, that's very interesting, Danny said dryly. So, what is it that you do, Dermot? The woman said, turning to look at Daniel. Sorry, my name is Daniel, actually. I'm a publican. Right, she nodded and looked away. Awful weather we are having these days, isn't it? She addressed the table. Everyone fell into conversation, and Daniel turned to Holly. Did you enjoy your holiday? Oh, I had a fabulous time, she smiled. We took it easy and relaxed, didn't do anything wild and weird. Just what you needed, he smiled. I heard about your near death experience. Holly rolled her eyes. I bet Denise told you that, he nodded and laughed. Well, I'm sure she gave you the exaggerated version. Not really, she just told me about how you were surrounded by sharks and had to be airlifted from the sea by a helicopter. She didn't. Oh, not really, he laughed. Still, that must have been some conversation you were having to not notice you were drifting out to sea. Cody's face flushed a little as she recalled what they had been talking about. Okay, everyone, Denise called for attention. We have probably been wondering why Tom invited you all here tonight. Understatement of the year, Daniel mumbled, and Holly giggled. Well, we have an announcement to make. She looked around at everyone and smiled. Holly's eyes widened. Myself and Tom are getting married, she squealed, and Holly's hands flew to her mouth in shock. She had not seen that one coming. Oh, Denise, she gasped and walked around the table to hug them. That's wonderful news. Congratulations. She looked at Daniel's face. It had gone white. They popped up open a bottle of champagne, and everyone raised their glasses at Jemima and Jim, or Samantha or Sam, or whatever their names were, made a toast. Hold on. Denise stopped them just before they started. Sharon, did you not get a glass? Everyone looked at Sharon. Oh, this is the big reveal chapter. Oh, these emotions are gonna get even more like twisted now. Um, Everyone looked at Sharon, who was holding a glass of orange juice in her hand. Here you go, Tom said, pouring her a glass. No, not for me, thanks. She said, why not? Denise huffed, upset that her friend won't celebrate with her. John and Sharon looked at each other and smiled. Well, I didn't want to say anything because it's Denise and Tom's special night. Everyone urged her to speak. Well, I'm pregnant. John and I are going to have a baby. John's eyes began to water, and Polly just froze in shock in her seat. She had not seen that one coming either. Tears filled her eyes as she went over to congratulate Sharon and John. Then she sat down and took deep breaths. This is all too much. So let's make a toast to Tom and Denise's engagement and Sharon John's baby, Jemima Jim or Sam and Samantha announced. Everyone clicked their glasses and Holly ate dinner in silence, not really tasting anything. You want to make that time 11 o'clock? Danielle asked quietly, and she nodded in agreement. After dinner, Holly and Daniel made their excuses to leave, and nobody really tried to persuade them to stay. How much should I leave towards the bill? Holly asked Denise. Oh, don't worry about it. She waved her hand at her dismissively. No, don't be silly. I couldn't let you pay for this. How much, honestly? The woman beside her grabbed the menu and started adding up the price of all the meals they had bought. There had been so many, but Holly had only picked at her own and had even avoided eating a starter so she could afford it. Well, it works at about 50 each, and that's including all the wines and champagne. Holly gulped and stared down at the 30 euro in her hand. Daniel grabbed her hand and pulled her up. Come on, let's go, Holly. She opened her mouth to make an excuse for of not bringing as much money as she thought, but when she opened her palm and looked at the money, there appeared to be an extra 20. She smiled at Daniel gratefully, and they both headed out to the car. They sat in the car in silence, both thinking about what had happened that night. She wanted to feel happy for her friends. Really, she did, but she couldn't shake off the feeling of being left behind. Everyone else's life was moving on except hers. Daniel pulled up outside her house. Do you want to come in for tea or coffee or anything? She was sure he was gonna say no and was shocked when he undid his seat belt and accepted her offer. She really liked Daniel. He was caring and fun to be with, but right now she just wanted to be alone. Was that some night, wasn't it? That was some night, wasn't it? He said, sitting down on the couch and taking a sip of his coffee. Cody shook her head with disbelief. Daniel, I have known those girls practically all my life, and I did not see any of that come. Well, if it makes you feel any better, I have known Tom for years too, and he didn't mention a thing. Although Sharon wasn't drinking when we were away, she hadn't listened to a word Daniel had said, and she did throw up a few mornings, but she said it was seasickness. She trailed off, and her brain went into overdrive as things started to add up. Seasickness, Daniel asked, confused. After a near-death experience, oh right. This time, neither of them laughed. It's funny, he said, settling down into the couch. Oh no, Holly thought, he's never going to leave now. The lads always said that myself and Laura would be the first one to get married. He continued. I just didn't think that Laura would be getting married before me. She's getting married? Holly asked gently. He nodded and looked away. He used to be a friend of mine too. He laughed bitterly. Obviously not anymore. No, he shook his head. Obviously not. Sorry to hear that, she said genuinely. Oh, well, we all get our fair share of bad luck, you know. That better than anyone. Huh, fair share, she repeated. I know there's nothing fair about it, but don't worry. We'll have our good luck too. You think? I hope. They sat in silence for another while, and Holly watched the clock. It was 12:05. She really needed Daniel to get out of the house so she could open the envelope. He read her mind. So how's the message from above going? Holly sat forward and placed her mug down on the table. Well, I've another one to open tonight, actually, so she looked at him. Oh, right, he said, jumping to attention. He was up quickly in his chair and put his mug down on the table. I'd better leave you at it, so. Holly bit her lip, feeling guilty and ushering him out so quickly, but she was also relieved that he was finally going. Thanks a million for the lift, Daniel, she said, following him to the door. No problem at all. He grabbed his coat from the banister and headed out to the door. They gave each other a quick hug. See you soon, she said, feeling like a right pitch, and watched him walk to his car in the rain. She waved him off, and her guilt immediately faded as soon as she closed the door. Right, Jerry, she said as she headed towards the kitchen and picked up the envelope from the table. What have you got in store for me this month? Okay, that's the end of chapter 20, chapter 30. Yeah, so I think we'll read chapter 31 later. Let's see what happens now. I mean, it is about time that she gets her life together because it's just getting really sad and pathetic that, like, I know she feels behind and everything, and her friends are doing stuff. So let's see what it, because she needs to get her financial situation in hand at least. Like, that's embarrassing now. Let's see what happens. But yeah, see you later in next chapter 31. Bye bye.